an odd kind of question that John asks Jesus at the beginning of our reading from Mark this morning. He says to Jesus, "We saw some people casting out demons in your name, but they weren't with us, and so we tried to stop them." And the question implicit there, John's asking, is, wasn't that the right thing to do? John clearly thinks that Jesus is going to say, yes, you should have tried to stop them. They're not with us. They shouldn't be casting out demons in my name. I don't really know how John knew that they weren't with them. I don't know what the differences were, whether this other group of people casting out demons were wearing the wrong kind of robes, saying the wrong sort of prayer, believed something different than Jesus' disciples. Scholars tell us that Mark probably included this story in his gospel from Jesus' ministry because the community that he was writing for was split by divisions about what it meant to be a follower of Jesus, what it meant to be Christian, and so Mark wanted to give that community some guidance. And Jesus does provide some guidance to John and the disciples. He says, "No one who does a great power, a work of might in my name can be against us." And then oddly, he lowers the stakes. He says, even someone who offers you a cold cup of water can be a blessing, can be for you. If they're not against us, they're for us. It's good, or maybe comforting, for us to hear that there were divisions even in the early church, because heaven knows we have them in the church today. And I don't mean just the Episcopal Church, although we have our own share, but I mean the whole Christian church, the worldwide Christian church. What it means to be Christian is radically different from parish to parish, from church to church, denomination to denomination. You probably watch the news, hear Christian pastors say things that sound totally unchristian to you. Things like, you can't be pro-choice and Christian, or you can't be pro-life and Christian. You can't be Christian and support LGBTQ rights. You can't be Christian and have voted for Donald Trump. You can't be Christian and have not voted for Donald Trump. Christianity is as divided today as it was 2,000 years ago. That's probably a good thing. I have a colleague who says that if you are a member of a church where everyone believes the same thing, that's probably a cult. Divisions are good. Disagreements are good. Similarly, if you're in a country where everyone believes the same thing, you're probably living in a dictatorship where dissent is suppressed. Certainly, we have our share of dissent in our nation today. I'm not suggesting that as Christians we all have to believe the same thing. I'm not suggesting that as a church that we should be apolitical. Jesus had a whole lot to say about the politics of his day. Jesus critiqued the Roman tax policy over and over and over again. He critiqued the social welfare policies of Israel's government constantly. And if Jesus were around today, he would have a whole lot to say about our government structures and about how we take care of the people of this nation, how we take care of the people of the world. We're not called to be apolitical. I would like to suggest, however, that as a church, we might strive to be nonpartisan. This is not to say that the issues that you and I have strong feelings about, that you and I may disagree about, aren't important. I'm not saying that we need to give up our beliefs. I'm not saying that we need to stop working for them, stop advocating for them in the public square. But I am suggesting that as a church, we should spend less time trying to convince other people that they're wrong, and more time trying to understand the experiences that have brought people who disagree with us to their worldview. Understand what has shaped the way they think about this life. Try and get inside the hearts and minds of those we disagree with. And in so doing, we may find that the other side has some good ideas. That the other side's concerns may be valid. We can still disagree on how best to deal with them. I've struggled with this in my own life. This is probably a familiar story to many of you. As it happens, my parents and one of my sisters and I are on opposite sides of the political spectrum. This has been true for 30 years. We have had many shouting matches over the decades about politics. In the lead up to the 2016 election, as many families did, we had real disagreements. And I decided when I went home for vacation that summer before the election that I did not have the energy to have another shouting match with my father. I'm sure he was up for it. And so we sat in the family room and I asked him to explain why he was planning to vote for the person he was planning to vote for. And then I listened. And then I said nothing. It was very hard. I came to a deeper understanding of my father's worldview, of the experiences that shape how he looks at the world, and how that affected how he decided to vote in that election. Didn't change my mind. I still voted for the person I planned to. But I came to a deeper understanding of where he was coming from. This week I've spent a lot of time trying to think about the experiences that have shaped Christine Blasey Ford and Brett Kavanaugh. They're roughly my age. The experiences they had 30 years ago, the experiences they've had the last few weeks, trying to understand what has shaped their worldview, what has brought our country to this moment. I'm not going to say where I stand on this. Some of you could probably guess. But I think it's a good exercise for us to spend time trying to get inside the heart and mind of those with whom we have profound disagreements. And perhaps we can rework John's statement, John's question to Jesus. Perhaps someday we can say, Jesus, we saw people casting out demons in your name, working for justice, trying to find jobs for those who are unemployed, caring for veterans, feeding the poor. These people are not with us. In fact, we profoundly disagree with them. But they gave us a cold cup of water, and that was pretty cool.